Welcome to the shadowy world of Dracula and vampire lore. Before we dive into the mysteries of the night, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into myths, legends, and horror stories. Your support helps us explore even more dark tales and forgotten lore. For centuries, vampires have haunted our nightmares, inspired legends, and fascinated storytellers. From the dark forests of Eastern Europe to modern cinema, vampires embody our deepest fears and sometimes our darkest desires. They are not just monsters. They are reflections of human culture, morality, and imagination. Vampires have evolved alongside humans, adapting to the fears and desires of each era. In some periods, they were grotesque, disease-bearing revenants feared in villages. In others, they became elegant, seductive, and tragic figures that explored the complexity of immortality and morality. Across centuries, cultures, and continents, the vampire has remained a compelling figure in the human imagination. The origins of vampire legends stretch back thousands of years. Ancient Mesopotamia described Lilitu and Lamashtu, female demons who preyed upon humans and particularly children, stealing their life force. In Greek mythology, Lamia was cursed to feed on the young, a terrifying representation of grief, vengeance, and unnatural desire. Such stories highlight humanity's early attempts to make sense of death, disease, and unexplained loss. In Eastern Europe, creatures like the Upir, Strigoi, and Vrikolakas haunted the imagination. These undead beings were thought to rise from the grave to torment the living, often blamed for mysterious deaths. Villagers would stake, decapitate, or burn corpses as protection, using garlic, salt, and holy symbols to ward off the undead. These practices were not only superstition, they were ways communities coped with the fear of death and the unknown. Even during the Middle Ages, vampire beliefs reflected human anxieties about disease and mortality. A body that bloated, bled from the mouth, or showed other signs of decomposition might be seen as proof that a vampire had returned. These fears reinforced cultural and moral lessons about death, sin, and proper ritual observance, blending the supernatural with human psychology. Vampires were also cautionary figures, symbolizing consequences for immoral or selfish behavior. Their universality suggests that humans everywhere have long feared predators in the night, creatures that take life while humans sleep. Beyond Europe, similar myths existed. China described the Zhangshi, stiff, hopping corpses draining life force. The Philippines warned of the Aswang, a shapeshifter that preys on humans at night. Africa and Latin America shared stories of blood-draining spirits and creatures like the chupacabra. Across continents, vampires symbolized mortality, desire, danger, and survival. The figure of Dracula is inseparable from vampire lore. Originally, Dracula was Vlad III, the notorious Wallachian ruler, also known as Vlad the Impaler. He ruled during the 15th century, defending his kingdom against the Ottoman Empire. His brutal methods of punishment, impaling enemies on stakes, earned him his fearful reputation. Vlad's real-life cruelty, combined with centuries of folklore about revenants, inspired Bram Stoker's 1897 novel Dracula, creating a character that is both aristocratic and monstrous. Count Dracula is cunning, charismatic, and terrifying. He embodies human fears of predation, the unknown, and seduction. Stoker's creation established the template for modern vampires: immortal, alluring, and morally ambiguous. The historical Vlad's connection to myth illustrates the interplay between fact and legend, where real-life figures become symbols of cultural fears and imagination. Vampires share common traits across cultures: immortality, nocturnal habits, supernatural strength, and a need to consume blood or life force. They also share weaknesses: sunlight, garlic, holy symbols, wooden stakes, and silver. These traits reflect humanity's ongoing attempts to control and understand the uncontrollable. In literature, vampires evolved from grotesque monsters to sophisticated, morally complex beings. Romantic and philosophical vampires explore loneliness, desire, and existential struggle. Immortality raises questions about morality, consequence, and the burden of eternal life. Feeding represents dependence, survival, and moral dilemmas, while weaknesses symbolize humanity's attempt to impose order on nature. Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire revolutionized vampire fiction. Told from Louis de Pointe de Loc's perspective, it examines emotional, moral, and existential dimensions of immortality. Louis is transformed by Lestat de Liancourt, who represents power, seduction, and cruelty. Louis struggles with guilt, morality, and the psychological consequences of eternal life. Claudia, a child transformed into a vampire, embodies the tragedy of eternal youth. Her mind grows while her body remains frozen, highlighting the unnatural consequences of immortality. Rice's vampires grapple with love, loss, loneliness, and desire. They ask profound questions. What is the price of survival when it harms others? How does one find meaning in endless life? How does morality function when natural human limits no longer apply? Interview with the Vampire is not merely horror. It is a reflection of human emotion, ethics, and existential struggle, inviting readers to empathize with beings who are both monstrous and profoundly human. The Lost Boys, released in 1987, presents a different approach. These vampires are stylish, youthful, and dangerous. Set in a Californian town, the film follows brothers Michael and Sam as they encounter a gang led by the charismatic David. Michael is seduced by eternal youth and power, while Sam represents morality, caution, and familial loyalty. The story explores rebellion, peer influence, temptation, and the struggle to resist corruption. These vampires are not just monsters, they symbolize freedom, desire, and the consequences of choices. Vampire lore continues to evolve. Modern media explores vampires in novels, films, TV shows, games, and online communities. They can be tragic, romantic, heroic, or terrifying. Their enduring popularity lies in their ability to reflect human fears, desires, and ethical dilemmas. They allow us to explore mortality, morality, identity, and the shadowy corners of our own psyche. From ancient demons to Dracula, Interview with the Vampire, and The Lost Boys, vampires remain central to cultural imagination. They challenge us to confront the unknown, examine desire and power, and consider the consequences of immortality. Whether villains, anti-heroes, or tragic figures, vampires haunt the imagination and keep the night alive with mystery, seduction, and terror. If you enjoyed this journey into vampire lore, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more explorations into myths, legends, horror stories, and the mysteries that lurk in the dark. Your support helps us continue to bring these stories to life.